In a recent 2025 study, it was noted, however, that 92% of people who set goals eventually never achieve them throughout their lifetime. And in this video, we'll be breaking down 7 ways you can actually set goals and then eventually go on to achieve them using these actionable steps. Of course, the biggest mistake that you can ever make when setting goals is not having a goal at all. But sometimes people do have goals, and then it becomes very difficult for them to narrow it down or to make it unambiguous and then easier for you to achieve them. So, how do you go on to action out a plan in order to achieve this goal? And this is where Napoleon Hill's principle comes in. Napoleon Hill believes that in order for someone to be successful in the attainment of their goals or otherwise, they must have a definite chief aim. And that is that definite chief aim that you're willing to sacrifice any other thing for. So, for example, if it is the goal of losing weight, then you must focus solely on that one goal and then make sure that you subordinate any other goal in respect of that goal. So, anytime that goal setting comes into your mind, you need to think about it as what is the goal that I am supposed to achieve? And then what is that one goal that is so important for me to achieve this year or this month, and then prioritize that goal ahead of any other goal. That would make it much more easier for you to stay focused and for you to get the right motivation to pursue that goal without doubt or without any friction. Secondly, people tend out not to achieve their goals simply because they poorly plan out their goals. And this is very difficult. In James Clear's Atomic Habit, James Clear goes on to say that sometimes people tend to focus on the goal without having to focus on the process or how they'll get to the goal altogether. But the truth is, the more you focus on the process and how you go on to achieve the goal, the easier it becomes. And try as much as possible also to incorporate some form of fun into the process altogether. And that would ginger you, that would motivate you for you to pursue the goal without having to turn out to be tired or giving up altogether on the goal. So how can you get this? He goes on to propose that in order for you to be successful in focusing on the process, you need to adopt a strategy called habit stacking. So what habit stacking simply means is that you need to have a chain of events or a chain of activities that eventually lead you to your goal. So for example, if it is the goal of me shooting a YouTube video, then it goes on to say that you need to have a series of plan in place. So for example, if I wake up, I'll brush my teeth, I'll shower, and then afterwards, I'll go to do some research, script my video, sit down, shoot the video, subsequently go on to edit them, add B-rolls, finish the video, and then post it. That is habit stacking. You set a chain of activities in line, and that really helps you to stay on course, to stay focused, and stay motivated to pursue that goal that you set your mind to. Thirdly, one of the biggest friction that people tend to face when it comes to goal setting is procrastination. And procrastination is usually fueled by the fear of failure, otherwise known as phobia. Now, that phobia actually goes on to stop several people. They think about how difficult it is to start and then what they need to actually get started. And, sometimes we're human. So these things are natural, getting stuck in a state of analysis paralysis. For example, when I wanted to start this YouTube channel, it was very difficult for me because I was thinking about what do I have to get? How do I get the right gear? How do I get my setup and, the things that I need to get started? And then with time, I just sat down to discuss it with my wife. And then he said, well, you've got enough. All we had to change was this softbox to get a much more professional softbox to provide some form of professional lighting. And then we went on to shoot with our phones and everything. You don't need the best of gear to start, especially on YouTube. And sometimes people think that, they've got to get everything right or to perfect everything before they start. And that is why people usually do not go on to achieve their goals. Start with what you have. Start with what you can. Start from where you are. Of course, it is rarely said that the best year or the best time for you to plant a tree was 10 years ago, but the next best time is now. So start with whatever you have or whatever is at your exposure. And of course, based on whatever you've decided to do, build your knowledge and your skill set as time goes on. That is what James Clear calls the aggregation of marginal gains. So he believes that in order for you to be successful, what you have to do is to go on to execute, and then as you go on, try and then perfect the entire process 1% of the time. And that would eventually see you through towards the attainment of that goal that you set to achieve. This brings us to the fourth point, which is lack of commitment. It is very difficult for you to stay disciplined throughout the entire process, and it isn't easy. Motivation is a single factor that will drive you through towards the attainment of your definite chief aim, and that desire doesn't come easily. That is why it is necessary for you to have measures and systems in place that holds you accountable. So this is where James Clear comes in once again. James Clear believes that in order for you to be successful in the attainment of your goals, you need to also adapt the habit of habit tracking. Habit tracking simply means that anytime you make an advance or anytime you take a step further, you need to try as much as possible and then weigh or measure the process or the progress that you've gone on to achieve so far. So for me, it is very easy. I have a whole chart here, and then I check out a box anytime that I fully record a video and I post it on YouTube or on TikTok. So currently, I have the goal of shooting 100 videos as at the end of the year, and I've gone on to do just 14 videos. That shows me that I am 14% through with the goal that I set to achieve. And that makes it easier for me to know where I am, what I need to do, and to get in the right frame of mind and to get the motivation, of course, in order to push further to attain this goal at the end of the year. This brings us to the fifth point, which is self-doubt or negative thoughts. So many people disbelieve and they try as much as possible to hold themselves back without even knowing, because it is easier for you to just sit down and then think that, oh, I cannot achieve this. And eventually, people become what they think and what they believe. And so Napoleon Hill goes on to say that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. If you believe that it is possible for you to achieve that goal, you're 50% through, because it is that belief that will steer the body into execution and then eventually help you or push you towards the attainment of that goal. If you doubt your abilities, your skill set, and your experiences, and you try as much as possible to hold yourself back by telling yourself that you don't have what it needs for you to get there, then eventually you'd never get there. So disbelief has actually held so many people back, and that is one of the reasons why people tend not to achieve their goals at the end of the day. Now, this brings us to the sixth point, which is lack of support. And motivation is the single most important thing that you need to have in order for you to achieve your goals. And it is very difficult sometimes to hold yourself accountable. And this is where I recommend having someone, if it is a peer group or someone within the family or anyone in your family or friend circle, that is easier for the person to hold you accountable. So I've shared this goal, for example, with my wife, and so it is easier for them to hold me accountable. But you said you're going to shoot several videos this year, 100 videos, and post them. Where do you currently stand? How many videos have you shot already? What are the plans and the measures that you're putting in place in order for you to hit that 100 videos at the end of the year? It is easier when you share your goals with people and then you entrust whatever responsibility there is into their hands to hold you accountable to your words. Anytime this happens, it pushes you closer because you know that people are watching and it's not easier for you to disappoint them, but it is way easier for you to disappoint yourself. So starting out, you may need someone to be on the lookout for you. For example, in football matches, there are several coaches standing out there and several match officials going to make sure that people stick to the plan and they stick, more importantly, to the rules of the game. That helps them at the end of the day to score goals or to avoid conceding goals altogether, because people are actually watching from the outside and then giving them direct coaching or direction as to how to go about the attainment of their goal of winning that football match. Well, this brings us to the last point, which is rewarding yourself. So more often than not, when we think about the goal setting process, we tend to exempt the level or the point where we've also got to actually show appreciation to ourselves for dealing with every single challenge and for getting around the friction and driving ourselves towards the attainment of the goal. After going on to hit that milestone or going on to achieve that goal, you need to set another goal to reward yourself. And that makes it easier for you to stay motivated and to stay focused. You need to place those good things behind the attainment of that goal, because that is what will drive you eventually towards the attainment of that goal. Thank you.